What's up, AP Micro B-Day? Today we are going over short-term cost curves. So let's get into that. The first thing I want to talk about is variable and fixed cost. And a fixed cost is something in a factory such as the rent, the machines in the factory, because like you can't just increase your machines, you're not going to need more. And computers in the factory, because once you have them, they're there for the long run. You're not just going to replace them every single day. And some variable cost in the Mizuno golf club factory would be steel, rubber, iron, cast to put the iron and steel in, water, light, electricity, and labor. So first let's go over what average fixed cost is and why in the graph it starts off so steep and then gets less steep as the output increases. So at first the cost for the average fixed cost is extremely high when the output is low, and this makes sense because if the average fixed cost starts off at 11 and you're only producing 2 units and the units aren't selling for that much, like the golf clubs aren't selling for that much, then the fixed cost is going to be much higher. The cost is going to be extremely high. But as this output increases, the fixed cost diminishes over time, or it doesn't diminish, but it slowly becomes less affected, or it affects the output and the revenue gain less because it is being stretched out over more output. And the next thing to talk about is average variable cost, which is this one that comes in this sort of U shape. And average variable cost starts off relatively high because you have to buy all the steel, you need to get the electricity bill, you have to pay for the water, you have to pay for the rubber and iron that you think you're going to need. And then average variable cost actually goes down. And this is because once you hire your laborers to work, then they're making use of all this other stuff that you bought. So there's lots of product being produced, lots of marginal production here. And then boom, you suddenly hit this point where now you're at diminishing marginal production. And this is because now you have more laborers in your factory because your factory is a set space and they can't all work efficiently together. It'd be like if you had 5 people working in a 3-man job. Even like it's not going to be as productive, and you're actually costs are going to start going up because you aren't being as efficient as you can be. So average variable cost and average fixed cost added together gives you average total cost. And average total cost is just that. It's average fixed cost plus average variable cost. And average total cost is also in a U shape, just like average variable cost. So average total cost is in a U shape because at first, since it's the sum of both of these, it first takes on the shape of the average fixed cost, which means that there is a high set price over a low output. And as time goes by and the average fixed cost becomes less relevant because there's so many outputs, so many golf clubs being made, that's when it reaches this low point, which is I'm going to transition into marginal cost starts off going down because as you hire your laborers, they are using every resource inside of the factory to the maximum potential. So if you had 3 men working on a 3-man job, the marginal cost would be here, which would be the same as the marginal marginal production would be the high point. Marginal production looks like this because that is when marginally you have the least amount of cost, and so the most production, or marginally you have the least amount of cost there. So after a while though, you're going to hire another worker, or something's going to happen, or not something's going to happen, but you might hire another worker, and slowly the marginal cost starts to go up as you become less efficient, but it crosses the average total cost here. In the intersection of these 2 points is the minimal or the efficient scale. And that means that this is like where your company is the most efficient. There's no cost being wasted, implicit or explicit. Explicit meaning you're directly spending the money. Implicit meaning, like you could be doing something else to make your money. And that is where that point reaches. And another way that these two interact with each other is when the marginal cost is below the average total cost is going down because it's essentially like a grade point average. When this is down, the average total cost goes down, but when it's above it, the average total cost is going up because your grade point average is going up, and that explains itself. And I don't remember if I explained why it goes back in the U shape, so I'll say that again. And it's because you're getting less efficient after this point here. So you're spending more money, it's costing less, and your company is not utilizing its resources in a short term solution. There's like no solution, and you have to wait till the long term in order to fix that out. And that is essentially short-term supply curves. Okay, to explain diminishing marginal production, I'm gonna do a little demo here. So my job in this limited space of a factory, I have to look outside to check if there's any thieves coming. So, I'm doing my job, and I'm doing it perfectly. It takes one person to do this job in this factory, but then the managers of the factory, they're not thinking, and they hire another person to check for security guards. So they hired this guy, and now, we're both trying to look here, and there's no room for both of us. So as you can see, it's becoming less productive, and just diminishing marginal production. The costs are going up, and that's just what happens in the short term. So unless the company can figure out how to expand this in the long term, this company is doomed. But that would never happen to Mizuno, because Mizuno is the best. Okay, so obviously that was probably my most boring video ever. The next video is also going to be boring. This is a boring topic. Tried to make it funny with my buddy here at the end. But, you're just going to have to deal with it. So, supporters of my YouTube channel, come out to the next video. Come out to the one after that, because it's going to be amazing.